Welcome back to County Connection. In this segment, we are going to be talking about wildlife and what you need to know this fall to keep wildlife safe and to live in harmony with all the critters that we have here in Summit County. And I have Alyssa Knox from Colorado Parks and Wildlife, who has some great expertise on biology of wildlife here and habits, and also you have your ear to the ground for sure on their activities and some conflicts that may be happening. And we also have Alan Hansen from Summit County Planning Department to talk about some of the regulations in place regarding trash that help keep conflicts to a minimum. So thanks for joining us, guys.
You're welcome.
Thanks for having us today.
All right, so Alyssa, can you start out by talking just a little bit of background about bears in Summit County and what kind of species are out there, what we're living with, what we've got right in our backyards?
Sure. The only species of bear we have in Colorado is black bear. And that being said, black bears can come in a variety of colors. So if folks see a brown, cinnamon, blonde bear, they're all still black bear species. And we have them all throughout Summit County. We have a very healthy bear population here. And a majority of the county is very good bear habitat. So, which can be great for folks that want to view wildlife, but we also run into a lot of problems because it's not very hard for bears to wander into residential areas.
Okay. And during the fall, what's going on with bears as they're kind of getting ready for winter?
Well, for bears, their goal in life is to get really, really fat so they can hibernate for half the year. It's really not a bad lifestyle if you think about it. And towards the end of the summer, early fall, they go into what's called hyperphagia, and it's a very kind of a crazy eating phase. They are bumping up from an average of about 4,000 calories a day during the summer to eating close to 20,000 calories a day.
Wow.
For the last couple months before they go into hibernation. They're really building up those fat stores. They will go into hibernation late October, early November. And during that time, all winter, they consume about 30% of their body weight. They're not eating or drinking anything during that time period, so they need to gain a lot of extra weight before hibernation.
Okay, and then so that obviously represents or kind of turns into some potential for conflicts because they are so ravenous at this time of year, right?
It does. They have a great sense of smell. It's 100 times better than our sense of smell, about 40 times better than a bloodhound. And they can smell stinky trash from a long ways away. So our biggest issue is bears getting into trash. Human food is very high in calories, and it's very easy for them to access this time of year when people leave their trash out. So we do see a lot of conflict this time of year, and it will probably continue. We'll continue to see this bear activity for the next couple months.
Okay, and what have you been hearing lately as we're kind of in August and September? What do you see? What's been going on this year?
We have a lot of calls of some people just see a bear running through their neighborhood with a trail of knocked down garbage cans. Some of the bears kind of figure out which day is trash day in different neighborhoods, and they have great memories. They'll come back if they're successful in getting trash. Okay. It's trash cans getting left out overnight are a big issue because that's when bears are most active. But this time of year, it's not unusual to see them during the day as well. And then dumpsters. We have a lot of community dumpsters, dumpsters associated with restaurants, small businesses. And if they're not latched and locked, bears can open them. And so we have a lot of issues of people with dumpsters that have locking mechanisms, but if they're not locked, then they're a problem for the bears.
Okay. So Alan, why don't you tell us about about some of the regulations in place regarding trash and...
Well, basically, we have several different layers of regulatory standards and requirements that address trash storage and bear-proof containers, that kind of thing. If you're an existing homeowner, you know, an older home, probably in a subdivision that was done many years ago, You probably keep your trash in containers in the garage, and you put it out in the morning on the day of pickup, and then take the container back in after the trash company has come by. We have nuisance regulations in Chapter 11 of our Land Use and Development Code that where, say you put that trash out the night before, and like Alyssa said, a bear got into it, they spread the trash around. That is actually a rubbish violation, and we act on a report kind of basis. Someone calls in and says, hey, their property across the street has trash all over the place, the bears got into it. We actually go out, and I've done several of these myself, and typically people are very receptive, very cooperative. We go out and explain to them that it is a violation of our code and that they need to clean it up, and we recommend that they make sure that the trash is out the morning, not the night before, because as Julie said, I mean, as Alyssa said, that leads to problems, and that they bring the trash containers in as soon as the trash has been picked up. Now, if, say, you want to do a new multifamily development, a commercial or residential type development, you'll be going through at least site plan level of review. There we do allow for centralized collection facilities, dumpsters. They have to be within an enclosure to do two things: A, screen it from view, as well as make it more difficult, if not impossible, for wildlife, especially bears and rodents, to get into it. One of the things when we do that a review of a specific development plan, if you will, we refer that out to Colorado Parks and Wildlife. Specifically, it will go to either Alyssa or her colleague who handles the west side of the county, Tom Davies. They give us back their recommendations, and if they see a deficiency in the trash collection storage facilities that are being proposed, we can certainly incorporate changes into that approval so that we come up with a plan that better addresses or prevents bears and so forth for getting into disposal containers, that kind of thing, causing problems, habituating the bears to certain properties. When we're doing entitlements like rezonings, conditional use permits, temporary use permits, again, we have the ability, in fact, in a lot of planned unit development now, centralized collection facilities are very common. And again, we make sure that the enclosures and the dumpsters themselves are bear-proof. We do refer those, again, back out to Alyssa and Tom. So we're always looking forward to their recommendations as to whether or not what's being proposed is actually going to be effective. For special events, we have specific requirements there that trash enclosures be bear-proof, as well as anybody who gets a permit to be an outdoor vendor. Especially there, we've got food and so forth, obviously the attractive nuisance that Alyssa was discussing. So we've got these various levels. We also, in our master planning process, the county's comprehensive plan, as well as our 4 basin plans, we have recommendations specific to protection of wildlife, reduction of impacts on wildlife, obviously trying to create facilities that don't act as an attractive nuisance to bears is one way to protect them. Typically it doesn't work well for either the property owner or the bear if they decide there's a property they like to continually keep visiting. So we know that this community takes great pride and is very protective of its wildlife populations, and in the planning department we're very passionate about trying to ensure that we can move forward with effective steps that don't create problems down the road.
Excellent. So great that there are so many different kind of pieces and parts to that puzzle to reduce the number of conflicts. So when a conflict does happen, when a bear becomes a problem bear, what happens at that point, Alyssa?
It depends. We know we have a lot of bears active that have been getting into trash periodically throughout the summer, and our goal is to try to eliminate those food sources for them. So we do a lot of education in neighborhoods, a lot of school programs, and we have some volunteers that do some additional bear aware programs throughout the county. And we work with some of the other local law enforcement agencies to help enforce those town ordinances where trash cannot be left outside overnight, and if it is left out, it can't be in just plastic garbage bags. It needs to be in a bear resistant container. And some recommendations for residents and visitors to Summit County, if they know that there's a bear active in the neighborhood, if they hear about it from their neighbors or happen to see trash cans knocked down, some good deterrents in addition to keeping their trash in at night are to bring all pet food inside, all bird feeders, anything else that might attract a bear. Barbecue grills, make sure you burn those off after using, because they can smell quite a bit. And some good deterrents to try and keep bears away from properties. If you've had a visit from a bear and don't want it to come back, the noise works sometimes, unless a bear gets too accustomed to it. But just banging pots and pans, playing a talk radio at night can help keep them away. Motion activated lights, and then some different scent deterrents, because bears have such a sensitive sense of smell. Ammonia, bleach, mothballs, pepper spray, any of those can be used on and around property or to rinse out trash receptacles to help deter bears from getting into things.
And so how would you leave those different scents, like just in an open container on the deck, or?
You can spray down a deck. I've had people call me because the bears walked across their deck, and spraying it down with ammonia can keep the bear from coming back. They don't like the smell. Filling balloons or plastic bags with bleach or ammonia also, and putting them in around something that a bear is trying to claw into. The bears will puncture those, get a good dose of it, and they're probably not going to want to come back.
Oh, that's an interesting
It's
tactic.
a cheap and easy deterrent. So.
Well, that's good to know. All right. Well, so before we shift gears into moose, is there anything else that we think we need to cover on the bear front?
I can just touch on our state bear policy. Our bears have a 2-strike policy, and that means if a bear is handled, is trapped or tranquilized and relocated, that counts as its first strike, and if a bear has to be handled again, it is euthanized at that point. And in Summit County, we very rarely relocate bears. Part of the reason is because the entire county is good bear habitat, and we don't have very many good places to take bears where we don't already have a healthy population. And the chances of them returning either to the same area or to a new human area and causing problems is fairly high. So we try to fix the sources, the food that's bringing them in, or the trash that's bringing them in, because if we remove a bear, it will usually just make room for another bear to come right back and take its spot.
Gotcha. All right, well, all good stuff to know. So let's switch gears and talk about moose, which also have some issues that are specific to this time of year. So what's going on in the life of a moose in the fall?
Well, we have a lot of moose in Summit County. We have a growing population, and this time of year, the cow moose, the females, have calves with them. They usually give birth around early June. So the calves are up and mobile, but cow moose are extremely protective of their calves, and they don't tolerate dogs or people getting very close to those calves. And bull moose this time of year can also start to get aggressive here in the fall, because it's the breeding season for moose, and they have a very high level of testosterone, and doesn't take much to set them off either. So this time of year, keep your distance from a moose, but I'd have to say that applies year-round. They are large animals, they're unpredictable, and they can be very dangerous. And so it's not just this time of year, but keeping your distance from a moose is very important. We've had more people injured by moose in Colorado than any other wildlife.
Wow. And so how do the injuries happen? Do people get charged by moose? What kind of leads up to these conflicts?
A majority of these instances have to do with dogs. Wolves are the primary natural enemy of moose, and moose associate dogs with wolves. And so dogs barking at a moose, chasing a moose, can kind of set off that aggressive reaction. And what happens with a domestic dog is oftentimes if moose charges, that dog will run straight back to the owner. And you've got a 1,000-pound moose following that dog. That puts the owner in danger. And most of the people that have been injured in the past year in Colorado by moose, those situations have involved dogs. And those dogs brought the moose back to the person, and then the person got trampled. So it's, and we have a lot of dogs. A lot of people love to hike with their dogs in Summit County. And almost every trail, there's potential to see a moose, especially the trails along water, rivers, beaver ponds. Those are the areas moose like to hang out. So.
All right. So this is one of those situations where prevention is the best cure. So keeping a dog on a leash and keeping your distance and keeping an eye out.
Keep an eye out, and if you see a moose on a trail, you can't really push them. They're not afraid of us at all, and trying to push them off a trail can trigger that aggression. So you either have to wait them out, find an alternate route, go way around them, or just turn back the way you came. Or sit at a distance and enjoy them. They're magnificent animals. So.
Great. So some of those strategies that we mentioned with bears, like making loud noises and stuff, that's not going to work out for the moose
Those
situation.
don't work so well for a moose. They're hard to scare away. So a moose that is beginning to get aggressive will pin its ears back. They'll raise the hackles on their back, sometimes start licking their snout. And if the moose starts walking towards you, that could be a precursor to a charge. That's not a friendly moose. So if that happens, keep your distance and get ready to run. Find something really large to hide behind, a tree, a rock, a car, a fence, or get off the ground. Because moose they may look slow and docile, but they're not. They can move very quickly when they're angry.
Okay, but at least they can't climb trees.
They can't climb trees. Thank goodness.
All right. Great. Any other tips during this season, Alyssa, that you might want to share with folks, or have we covered them all?
I think we've covered most of them.
All right. So lastly, where can people find out more information about bears and moose, or any other wildlife species in Summit County for that matter?
Our website has information on all our different wildlife species. Our local Forest Service office does have a lot of our flyers and brochures in print there. If people are stopping in to get maps, they can check in on wildlife there as well.
Okay, great. And then Alan, for folks who are interested in learning more about any of the county regulations regarding trash and the, how that might relate to wildlife, how can they get that information?
Sure, Julie. First of all, our Land Use and Development Code, is, along with all our county-wide comprehensive plan and all our basin master plans, are online. They go to the county's website and go underneath community development planning. They can get to those documents. They're more than welcome to call the department at any time. We're open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. Number is 668-4200. So the receptionist can direct a call to the appropriate planner to go over whatever the questions are. We welcome those kinds of calls. We believe that the more we can educate the public, the better it is for everyone. And especially on wildlife issues, we find that people are very receptive. The education goes a long way, and again, I can't overemphasize how much I think our wildlife populations are valued by the citizens of this community, and they want to do right by them.
All right. Alyssa and Alan, thanks so much. And
Thank you.
Stick with us. We are going to have our building department come in next and talk about a new time-saving tool.